What I learned from jumping off a giant rock. Before I tell you the answer to this, I must begin by telling you what happened to me years before. When I was about 15 years old, I found myself at a legendary place in South Korea named the Dragon Lagoon. I remember it like it was yesterday. There were men climbing up the side of a mountain to jump into the water. It wasn't your typical jump either. Instead, it was a towering leap off a mountain. If I was to guess, it was more than 20 or 30 feet high above the lagoon. I remember seeing some people take the challenge and actually jump, while the majority just chose to take the lesser road of being just a spectator watching from afar. No one in my group was considering it. No one. Except me. A part of me wanted to do it so badly. So badly. However, there was also the other part of me that was overcome with fear. So much so that it was trying to convince the other part not to do it, not to jump. One of my relatives said, "Do you want to jump?" I half-heartedly answered, "Yeah." Then as I began making my way up the mountain, with my body trembling in horror of what I was about to do, I remember the scared part of me telling me countless reasons why I shouldn't jump. Once I got to the top, I was so overtaken by fear that I did not jump. Soon came the word that it was time for our group to go. It was time for us to leave. I was just a kid then, so no one cared if I jumped or not. I didn't suffer any teasing or any type of negativity from anybody there. But even though no one was trying to make me feel bad, I felt disappointment. I felt defeat. That experience stuck with me, and it hid itself inside me for a very, very long time. Flash forward many years later to the moment in Cabo San Lucas when we were on the boat sightseeing, and all of a sudden we see a giant rock from the distance where people are just jumping off into the water. One of the people on our boat, by the name of Roberto, says to me, "You should jump." At that moment, I began considering it. The scared part of me surfaced like it did when I was a kid and began to say such things as,
"I didn't bring a towel. How am I going to dry myself? But I'm wearing shoes. It's going to be uncomfortable on the way back. It's probably not a good idea."
"Nah, I'm okay. I would jump, but I brought shoes." After turning down the proposal, it didn't sit with me very well. At that moment, I felt as though I had been in a similar situation before. Then the memory hit me. The experience of the past replayed itself in my mind. At that moment, I knew I had to jump, no matter what. I then went on to say to the guy, "You know what? I changed my mind. I'll jump." Upon saying that, the boat captain was asked if I could jump, and we arranged for that to happen on our way back from ending the boat tour. Flash forward, at the end of the tour, we are heading back and we near the big rock. The same guy, Roberto, asks, "Are you really going to jump?" I answered, "Yeah." In my mind and heart, there was no way I was going to back out. I had made up my mind. I was committed to jump no matter what. Then came the moment where the boat captain gave me the signal and said to go ahead. I then dove into the water and swam towards the big rock. The swim was not easy by any means. I battled against the current, the waves, and the surprisingly cold water. The same guy that proposed I should jump, Roberto, also chose to go with me. I reached the shore of the giant rock and tried to climb atop. I struggled a bit, so much so that I ended up getting my legs scratched on the rocks. But sooner than later, I managed to get on. I then helped Roberto get on the rock as well. Once we were able to get out of the water and onto the rock, we were met by a behemoth of a man that resembled a giant version of Tarzan. He was to jump right before me. We then proceeded to climb to the top of the giant rock. It wasn't your normal upward climb. Instead, it required us to climb in a circular manner, meeting new obstacles along the way. It was a difficult and a dangerous climb. Once we were almost at the top, the Tarzan guy asked me,
"Are you scared?"
I answered him by saying, "Yeah, are you?" As big as he was, he trembled and answered,
"Yeah."
Roberto was also scared. We then proceeded to finish our climb to the top. Upon reaching the top, we met others that were seemingly waiting to jump. Next up was a couple.
Together? Oh, they're jumping together. He's just helping her maybe. I think she's scared. I think she's scared.
The guy say he's looking smaller than
Yeah, when you get up there, you're like, oh, yeah.
Rápido. Run. Go. Jump. One, two, three.
They were overwhelmed by their fear. But after some encouragement by the spectators and also myself, they finally took their jump.
Jump. One, two. Look at me. Oh, good.
Okay.
Splash! After the couple jumped, it seemed that the others waiting decided to pass on the challenge. I looked around and didn't see anyone wanting to go next. No one was stepping up to the plate. Even the Tarzan guy, as big and as muscular as he was seated to the side, seemingly unwilling to take the leap. I decided to step up. I shouted out to our boat to make sure the camera was recording.
Yes.
I asked the Tarzan guy, "Are you going to jump?" He told me.
You can go first.
I looked down at the water. As I prepared to jump, there was no doubt in my mind that I was going to do it. Everyone there was jumping into the water in a cannonball style. I chose to dive head first. I looked down, and I jumped, and I dove. What took years of regret and disappointment, what took danger and effort to climb up to, only lasted but a few seconds before I splashed down onto the water. That feeling of conquering that experience was amazing. It was so fulfilling to dive from that giant rock. The feeling of making up for that huge regret I had when I was a teenager, where I didn't jump, was beautiful. After I dove, the Tarzan guy saw that my buddy Roberto was preparing to go next. At that moment, you could even see that the Tarzan guy thought to himself, if he could do it, I have to do it. So the giant Tarzan guy stepped up and told Roberto to step aside and to let him jump first. The Tarzan guy jumped. Splash! He succeeded. I'm sure he was happy he jumped. Then came Roberto's turn. You can tell from the video that he was scared and it took a lot for him to jump. But he did it. And I can tell you, he was extremely happy he did. We both agreed it was something we were never going to forget. So to answer what I learned from jumping off that big rock. The thing I learned from jumping off a giant rock was that it was very symbolic of life. There's this famous saying that says, it's about the journey, not the destination. From that experience, it was so resoundingly true. That one experience was a culmination of many things. That jump was more than just a jump. Had I not had the regret of not jumping when I was a teenager, had I not built my courage in light of fear over the years, maybe that jump would have been a lot harder. Maybe I would have failed again. But at that moment, there was no turning back. I had made up my mind. So much so that even fear didn't even try as hard as it did when I was a kid. I think it also knew, regardless of how scared I could be, that I was going to do it because I had made up my mind. That jump, that dive will live in my mind and heart for the rest of my life. Next time you're faced with a disappointment, next time you experience a tremendous regret, just tell yourself and know that what you do not allow to break you will only make you stronger. And when the next time comes where you must face your fear, as long as you make up your mind and persevere, fear will not be able to beat you. Instead, fear will be scared of you, and you will win. Just tell yourself, next time, I will jump.